This is Paul and Brendan, Sons of Speed, and today we are in the wonderful and amazing Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Now this is...
You gotta say it right, Paul. Come on.
Quadrifoglio.
There you go.
So, on the hierarchy of Stelvios, this is the top dog.
Yep, this is the upper echelon of your sports performance SUV. Basically, I mean, not only for the Stelvio, it's the best Stelvio you can get, but I mean, pretty much for any SUV, unless you're talking about a Lamborghini Urus or something along those lines for about 3 times the price.
Yeah, actually, even though this is, they're not giving this car away.
No.
Okay, 84,000 starting. The way we have it equipped with the carbon ceramic brakes, which we'll get to in a moment, 96,000 ish. So they're not giving the car away. But when you look at the competition, it's actually not a bad deal.
No, I mean the Germans do have the AMGs and the M's that are going to compete with this, but they're
all in 100,000.
They're all more money.
Yeah.
And if you want to keep the same money, you got a lot less horsepower.
Yes.
And honestly, you don't have anything as unique as
this
the Stelvio.
You will not see yourself coming and going in this car.
No.
Sure.
I mean, I since we've had the car, you tend to look for other cars that you have. Like if you buy a car, you've never seen any of your car on the road until you buy a car. Then you see them everywhere.
Yeah.
I've been looking for Stelvios, and you don't see them.
You don't see them
anywhere. They don't sell very many of these, so you're not, and that's a shame. But you're not going to, like you said, see yourself coming and going. You're not going to be one of a crowd. You're going to be standing out in the crowd, and especially in this blue color.
Oh, this blue is gorgeous. Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable.
In fact, if I were to buy this car, this is the exact color that I would expect it in, because this is just
1000%
beautiful color.
And it's not the only beautiful color they have. Like their steel gray. Like
yeah,
I forget what the color is.
Alfa Romeo, they know their colors.
Oh God,
for sure,
yes.
because every color that they have is gorgeous. But I just love this blue. It's just so bright and eye-catching.
So we're gonna get this out on some backcountry roads and kind of put it through its paces to see what it can do, and and test it out, because this is a sport-tuned vehicle. This is really almost at home on the racetrack. We have carbon ceramic brakes, giant ones.
In fact, last year we took this out on the racetrack.
Yes. And if you haven't seen that video, click somewhere up here and watch it, and you'll see.
And be amazed.
Yes. And I got to drive that on the racetrack. We tried to get this one back out on the racetrack, and that may or may not still happen. We're trying to work on that.
They do have some improvements on the 2020 versus the 2019 that we drove. They kind of redid the infotainment center a little bit. It's better. It's touchscreen now. It's just, I just feel like it's still a generation behind.
Yes.
Like an Audi or some of the other top dogs. It's a nice interior. The dash is not full digital. It still has analog RPM gauge and analog speedometer. And unfortunately, it looks a generation behind, because everybody else has gone to the full digital.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like that's the next thing for maybe 2021,
Maybe. Although it isn't bad, what it really needs is a head-up display.
Yes, and the biggest reason for that is not for the convenience of having a head-up display, which would be great, but for the one thing that this car has. It's kind of funny. It's not a problem. It's great, but it's so great that it creates a problem.
Yes.
Is the fact that this car pulls so hard that if you don't pay attention to the RPMs, you are going to hit that rev limiter, and then it just shuts everything down as soon as you do.
It's like hitting an invisible brick wall.
Exactly. And because of that, you really have to be staring at the RPM gauge and not staring out at where you're driving.
Which is exactly the problem a head-up display solves.
Yes. So if we had a head-up display with an RPM,
with a tachometer,
then you could see what's going on, and you could pull the the beautiful column-mounted shift levers
Yes.
at the proper time. Because if you go by sound, you're screwed. It's not going to work.
Or torque.
Or torque.
Like, you know, in a lot of engines, like the torque gives up about 3/4 of the way through the red range. Not in this car. It
This car just keeps pulling.
And having a head up with the gear, a big gear indicator too helps, because honestly, I mean, this car is great. But if we had helmets on and we were on the racetrack, it's harder to hear the exhaust. So it's harder to remember what gear you're in. But if it's right there,
you're so focused on the track.
Exactly.
So having a nice big M8, M7, M6, because it has 8 gears, would be phenomenal. In fact, even now, when you put it in manual mode by flipping the lever over to the left, it's still kind of small.
Yeah,
you really got to look for.
It's bigger than a Challenger.
Bigger than Challenger, which is great, but it's still small.
But let's see what it can do. Yeah, the downshifts are crisp and fast, and the brakes
are just really, really nice. You gotta hand it. Carbon ceramics is the way to go. If it wasn't for the fact they're so expensive.
Yeah, $8,000 to buy them, and at least that much, if not more, to replace them. From the seats in here are incredibly supportive.
Yes, very, and also very comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. They're not hard. They're not like racing seats. Although, you know, you can take turns pretty well.
And it keeps you in.
And it keeps you in. They're Alcantara / suede. I'm not sure which material. It could actually kind of feels like it could be really suede in the middle, and then leather around. And we were just having this discussion earlier about the steering wheel, which is my favorite part of the touch and feel on this car.
Beautiful leather, and then where you actually touch it, they put that Alcantara. So
by your fingertips,
right by your fingertips only.
So it's not going to get the sweaty palms ruining your Alcantara wheel, but you still get the feel of it in your fingertips.
It's genius. It's really nice.
Absolutely genius. So whoever came up with that one over at Alfa Romeo, awesome. And there's 4 driving modes. And it's DNA. Which I think A is adaptable.
Adaptable efficiency, so kind of like an eco mode, sort of. And then you have N for natural or naturale, which is just normal.
Or normal.
And then D is for dynamic. And then you have our favorite, the race mode. Which you actually have to kind of hold there for a couple seconds for it to activate, but once it gets in, your dash completely changes. You get the race, you get the electronic
harder suspension.
You get the traction control goes off, and also interesting, the anti-collision goes off as well, which is great, because
on a racetrack,
sometimes on a racetrack when you drive in around and all of a sudden the car brakes for you.
Yes.
Because you're too close to the car in front of you, but you're at a racetrack.
I don't know if you know this. When you're at a racetrack, you get kind of close to the cars in front of you. So you don't want that system.
So that's actually a smart idea on Alfa Romeo's part.
Yeah.
Too bad not everybody that has
no, we've had that go off on the racetrack quite a few times.
Okay, so the engine is a 2.9 liter V6 twin turbo. Okay, it is
Where did they get that engine?
It's derived from a Ferrari block. What they do is they lop off 2 cylinders of the Ferrari V8, and they use the V6, and I actually don't know how much of it is of the parts they keep as Ferrari, but I know Alfa Romeo puts enough of their parts on it where it's not a Ferrari engine per se, but it's a derived Ferrari engine.
Well, if you're going to start somewhere.
If you're going to start somewhere, you might as well start with the best, right?
Yes.
So
that's why it pulls so hard. It sounds so good. It really kicks you in the pants.
It does. And it is a trackable car. We cannot stress that enough.
Yes.
You can drive this car on the track and give other cars a really hard time.
Yeah, you give everything a run for its money in this car. Believe me, we took this around the Road America track, and we were all giddy laughing at like how fast this thing actually did around the track. It's super fast. So in the twisties, here we got a little bit of a twisty road. In race mode especially, I mean, it's pretty flat. Like, you shouldn't be able to do stuff like this.
And the only thing that's slowing me down a little bit is these blind corners.
It's telling you this is nothing. With throw a real corner at me. You know, there's so much more there. The grip is ridiculous. The fact that it sits flat and it kind of pushes back against you as you lean into it to keep the car nice and flat. It's so much fun to drive this car. So the transmission is an 8-speed, I believe it's an automatic.
It is automatic, but it's 150 milliseconds per shift. So you're right there in DCT territory anyway.
Exactly, and it's a lot smoother.
Exactly,
because
you don't have that herky-jerky at the stoplights.
Exactly, and the downshifts are crisp, fast. We love the paddle shifters on this car. We've said so, I don't know, 1,000 times. And the only ones that might be a little nicer are the ones in the Maserati, which is also an FCA product. The Levante Trofeo, I think, has the carbon fiber ones. But we'll take these any day of the week.
These
We're not
are nice
complaining.
Aluminum. No, there's nothing wrong with them.
Nothing wrong with these. They're just absolutely beautiful to operate. And I believe they're one of the only companies that puts them on the column. I think Ferrari does.
Yes, Ferrari does.
But everybody else, I mean, I don't know if anybody else puts them on the column.
Italians kind of all do it. So, like your Paginis, your Lamborghinis.
Lamborghini.
Ferraris.
But Audi does it, and Audi owns Lamborghini.
Yeah, but, you know.
they get to do some of their own stuff.
They got to do some of their own stuff, exactly.
Yeah, we prefer them there. And they're nice and big, too.
Oh, you can't miss them. Yeah, they're in fact you gotta get kind of used to it, because in order to activate the turn signal, you gotta go around.
Yes, you do.
Around them, which at first is kind of like they're in their way, but then you get used to it.
One thing this car doesn't have that I was expecting at the price point, especially, is some sort of ventilated or cooled seat. It does have heated seats, but
yeah, no, it doesn't have all the luxury options that you would kind of expect in a car at this price point. But, you know, you're buying that engine, you're buying the brakes, you're buying the ground effects, you're buying the performance.
And the name.
And the name, and they're kind of taking a little bit away from the luxury things. It's not missing much. It's just a couple of things that they could put in. One of them being the, ventilated seats.
Yeah, I think if you were looking, I mean, obviously, if you're looking at the Stelvio, you're looking for something that was a little more performance. If you could spend half as much money on a Telluride or a Palisade and get every conceivable, luxury option.
Sure.
Literally half the money, but you're not going to get the drive.
You're not going to get the way this thing drives.
Not at all.
Because it's not just the performance. This thing handles like a race car.
It does.
It does. It's flat. It's fast, and it just grips. The amount of grip that this car has is jaw dropping.
It's an all-wheel drive Giulia Quadrifoglio.
Yes, correct.
Which is already an amazing car. Let's see. Let's rip off a few of those shifts. Let's see. Oh, and it makes that stupid fast.
That's what they call stupid fast.
You will never get tired of driving this car. I guarantee it.
The only thing you might get by driving this car is arrested.
And on that note, I think it might be time to say goodbye to the Stelvio for now. In the meantime, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so that when we upload cool videos like this one that you just watched, you will know, and you'll be the first to know. And make sure you leave us a comment, like the video, share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next video.